YouTube, fam? It's your boy Tony 2 Times, and we back with another episode of Hood Tales, man. Before I start, be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you're new to the fam. Definitely share the video. Let's get right into it. Rollin 60s Crips, a set that originated in Cali, has went nationwide over the last few decades. With 60s all over the US, even famous members like the late great Nipsey Hussle, rest in peace. Not far from home base in Las Vegas, Nevada, Sin City, known for its first-class casinos, beautiful women, turning up, and the old saying, whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But in Vegas, it's more than bright lights in the hopes of making it big in the casino. Vegas has an underworld as well. And on this episode of Hood Tales, we will be discussing the Las Vegas fraction of the Rollin 60s Crips. In the streets of Vegas, the 60s allegedly had an enterprise to make money all kinds of ways, from trapping, pimping, extortion, robbery, hits, and more. Being that the 60s got all their knowledge from the set and big homies in Cali, the main focus was making money to profit the organization and handle business accordingly. Keeping their name good no matter what, and anything they had to do. No disrespect on any level was tolerated. Members allegedly set up shop or trap houses all over Vegas, with the #1 seller being Ready Rock or Hard. The game and the goal of the game was to take over any neighborhoods doing numbers and make it their own. Let's talk about some alleged situations where the gang allegedly turned up in Sin City to let the streets know it was definitely real. On 3 different occasions, allegedly, members of the 60s robbed Albertsons grocery store in Las Vegas, in North Las Vegas. Another incident, allegedly, a member of the 60s spotted an op on Lowry Street, North Las Vegas, and shots were fired in the man's direction. Fortunately, he survived. Not long after, a man was already robbed by the 60s at a Vegas hotel. Another alleged situation, 2 members were at an apartment of a man when things went left, leaving a man shot and killed and robbed for his product and cash. More hits would come, including the alleged hit of a cab driver, the torching and burning of a rival's home in North Las Vegas, and even the alleged robbery of a casino. With the 60s being this active, the law was laid down and other street players knew it was real. But some acts of violence the gang was accused of was too much for the community, and even some street dudes. With North Las Vegas and other parts in their grips, the 60s were just trying to establish dominance. But to the streets and Las Vegas police, they were a vicious cutthroat gang. And we all know with this much activity, the feds wasn't far behind. The Las Vegas PD, with the help of the feds and other organizations, were watching the 60s for over 2 years without their knowledge, alleging the organization of trafficking narcotics, murder, racketeering, even trafficking minors, extortion, intimidation, and more, alleging the 60s was most feared gang in Clark County, Nevada at the time. With the streets talking and federal agents hot on their trails, the 60s operation in Sin City was coming to an end. Search warrants would come for at least 3 trap houses in North Las Vegas, where allegedly blickies and large quantities of coke was found. Once the feds swooped in, a 38-member indictment was handed down to the organization, with 21 members being caught up on federal racketeering, hits, narcotics, and firearm charges. Alleging that since the early 90s, the Rollin 60s came to Vegas, laid down the blueprint for decades of violence. The DA painted members as ruthless hitters, pimps, and hustlers, and the organization was dismantled, with different members all receiving different times depending on their roles in the organization. More of this story, no matter how much money or how long of a run you have in the streets, eventually once people become too scared of you and too many bodies drop, it's all over. Nobody rides off in the sunset. This ain't the movies. So remember, we gotta succeed, not to fail, so we won't be just another hood tale. Man, salute to Vegas, you feel me? Sin City, you know what I mean? Like I say, the casinos, bright lights, you know. But Vegas always had kind of like that dark history, you know what I mean? One of my favorite rappers, you know, Tupac, was unfortunately killed in Vegas, even though it was somebody from Cali who allegedly did it. But it's just one of them places where things happen. And when people go to visit, you know, they on the Vegas Strip and, you know, they in the casinos, they don't think about the other side. You know, it took for me a minute to realize like things go on everywhere. You know, in Vegas, you know, being next to Cali, the West Coast, the gang culture definitely over there. You know, you got Bloods, you got Crips, you got other gangs, you got Mexican gangs. And what you got to understand, Vegas was built off gangsters, you know, the mob, you know, the casinos, you know, they ran all that type stuff. So yeah, it is crazy, but this story was based like out of the 90s all the way up to like the late 90s, early 2000s, because they saying that they had a decade of dominance in the city, whereas though, whereas though anybody who got in their way was getting ran over. But like I said, you talking about a set that originated in Cali and gave them their blueprint and their knowledge. So of course they was gonna be aggressive and trying to take over the city by any means necessary, you know. And there's just a few situations I named. Like, they rap sheet super long, you know. I ain't even getting the details with everything. But of course with gangs, unfortunately, comes violence, because they gotta make their money. And if you in a way with some dudes feel like they can stand up towards the gangs, and they feel like even though I ain't affiliated, I ain't gonna be scared and I ain't gonna let nobody run me from my city, you know. But you gotta know when to hold, when to fold, you know what I mean? Because they was coming with that get down, lay down mentality. But once they hit you with that RICO and that criminal organization and all them charges, they coming, you know what I mean? Ain't no way around that. They coming to swoop everybody. They coming to get everybody. Y'all know on Hood Tales, we go all over, you feel me? Not just one place. So I had to touch on Vegas. A lot of people don't be knowing what's going on in Vegas, but you see what's going on, you know what I mean? Gangs, violence, of course they got pimping, you know, all that. But what they messed up at is when you get them minors involved. You know, you can't get them minors involved, you feel me, and call it pimping, you know what I mean? That's trafficking. They gonna always hit you with that. But yeah, man, crazy story, man. Y'all already know, man. It's another episode of Hood Tales, Las Vegas, you feel me? I definitely gotta visit Vegas. I supposed to went on my 30th birthday, but I ain't never make it, you know, so I gotta get out there, man. But y'all already know I appreciate the love and support like always, man. Be sure to like, comment, share the video, subscribe if you're new to the fam. Y'all already know this another episode of Hood Tales. This the Rollin 60s Las Vegas story. I love y'all, fam, and I'm out.